Today we'll be talking about the history of the LBD, aka the little black dress. And if you thought Chanel created it, then you would be wrong. Stick around until the very end to find out why it was created originally in history and what Chanel actually did. So the initial use is a black morning dress, and we still have this today as funerals have black attire as a dress code. And people would transition from stages 1 through 3, different kinds of dresses and colors, fabrics in a year and beyond. Stage 1 is a black dress in crepe. Stage 2 is when you still stay in black, but you can move into more luxurious fabrics like lace, fringe, and beaded fabrics. And then the third stage is when you can move into color finally. So you can finally move into colors such as gray, muted colors such as purple and lavender and white. There's also, interestingly enough, a restriction on jewelry, which I think does make sense. You're not supposed to be wearing flashy jewelry during these times because it was considered inappropriate, and in a way I kind of agree with that. It kind of makes sense because you're so flashy, it doesn't seem like you're paying much attention to the death of a loved one, but more so on these riches instead. But I don't see why someone can't just enjoy things in life. But you could not during these times wear jewelry such as things related to bright pearls, shiny metals, and gemstones. So there was special mourning jewelry as well. It seems quite dreary and restrictive in my opinion that your whole life and your fashion style has to revolve around this for a year, because I feel like fashion is a way for people to express themselves, and personally when I dress nice in a way that I like, where I have a really on fleek outfit, chef's kiss, it makes me feel a lot better about myself and it gives me a confidence boost. And you know, these women deserve to feel something nice about themselves too, but I guess it is as much about expressing yourself to society about your current status rather than what it is about you yourself. Social norms can be weird, and even if women were allowed to move from one stage to another stage within a certain amount of time, such as stage 1 to 2 in a year and a day, they were supposed to refrain from dressing in a second stage to the day that you were socially allowed to, because it would seem like you were too eager. And to me, that brings up in my mind, did you do that because you killed your husband or your loved one? It seems suspicious. It's like you don't care about them enough. I think the closest equivalent to that I would think of would be like these days when you get divorced from someone and then you move on and start dating someone else very quickly. I think that's kind of socially frowned upon a little. It's kind of like this in the situation where you move on from mourning too quickly. It's like you didn't care about the person enough or something, or you're a killer. I'm a true crime podcast junkie. Because of situations like this, I always think that the husband or wife killed each other, and that's why they just want to move on with their lives and have nothing to do with it because they never cared about their spouse anyways. But I digress. Queen Victoria actually lost her mother and husband within 10 months of each other, and afterwards for the rest of her life she never went out of mourning and continued to wear a black mourning dress for the rest of her life. So for the rest of her life you could say Victoria actually wore LBD. If you're enjoying this video and you like little black dresses, then why not like this video? If you haven't already, you should subscribe, because if you love couture, style, and analysis, aka CSA, that's what we do on this channel, and you want to go down and like and subscribe and turn on the bell to get weekly notifications of a weekly CSA PSA hot off the press weekly. You want to subscribe because you won't want to miss the things that we do on this channel related to fashion, fashion history, and couture. And on to Chanel. Chanel, this is a myth, did not create the LBD. She popularized it in Vogue magazine in 1926 when they promoted her little black dress in crepe de chine. It is a myth because before that she already even had precedents in 1922 of little black dresses from other famous designers. It was just never exploding at that point because Hermes and Germaine Lecomte created little black dresses too. Hermes in particular actually had a very notable famous one called La Garçon, which I will quote this. It is barely remembered today. Hermes 8 Place Vendôme was among the most innovative Paris couture houses of its time, spanning the late Belle Epoque to the Jazz Age. Best known for La Garçon, or the flapper, a black dress with white collar and cuffs, which kind of looked like a maid's outfit. Chanel then henceforth took the little black dress from day to night, which was something interesting and nouvelle she did, and she also made it jersey by day and then beaded by night. So she kind of popularized this black dress. We also cannot talk about the little black dress without mentioning some other notable references in pop culture, one of which is the one that Rita Hayworth wore, and it has helped consolidate the image of the femme fatale, which is why it is so iconic. The femme fatale is a definition that means a man-eater, which is a character who's this beautiful, seductive woman, a vixen, who uses her charms to ensnare her lovers and lead them into deadly traps. Kind of like a Black Widow, if you think about it, or Catwoman. And femme fatales are typically villainous, and they're always kind of dangerous, kind of sexy. In the 1946 film Gilda, Rita Hayworth wore a black dress made by the costume designer Jean-Louis. Quote, it was used in a scene in which Gilda sings the song Put the Blame on Mame. This was so popular that in 1946 as well, Rita's image in the Gilda black dress was imprinted on the first nuclear bomb to be tested after the Second War. The bomb was nicknamed Gilda. How creative. And it was decorated with a photograph of Hayworth from the June 1946 issue of Esquire. Also on it was Gilda, stenciled in black letters. We also cannot talk about things related to the little black dress without talking about the big fish here in the pond, which I'm thinking we all know what I mean when I say Audrey Hepburn and Breakfast at Tiffany's. Breakfast at Tiffany's is such an iconic film, and I'm gonna get booed off the stage now because I'm gonna say that I haven't seen it. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I'm an abomination. But Breakfast at Tiffany's is such a well-known household name these days, even decades after its production in 1961. We cannot talk about The Little Black Dress without talking about this movie because it was auctioned off at Christie's auction house in 2006 for $923,000, which is almost $1 million, which is absolutely insane. Someone would even have the money to do that. If I were to buy a dress for that much, I honestly don't think I would know what to do with it because it's unlikely that I would have the same measurements as Audrey Hepburn, so I probably couldn't wear it. And I think Audrey Hepburn is taller than I am, so I would probably have to hem it, which would then ruin the historical value of this dress. So, you know, it's kind of more of a memento that just is gonna hang somewhere or get displayed somewhere, which I think in that sense it would probably be better in a museum than owned by someone, because the person who's gonna buy it is probably not going to take care of it that well, or their kids won't. It's better off in a museum as a historical piece because it's so iconic. Just my 2 cents. From what I understand, there's at least 4 copies of that dress. There's Givenchy's original 2 copies that Audrey took, and then a copy that Edith Head made. The OG one is in Givenchy's private collection, and it showed too much leg, so Edith Head had to change the bottom of it, so she made a new one. The dress used in the movie wasn't even made by Givenchy himself, it was made by Edith Head. Ironically, for the movie, they had to rechange the dress to show less leg, but the movie poster, quote, was designed by artist Robert McGuinness, and in Sam Wasson's book, 5th Avenue 5 AM, he explains that the photos on which he based the poster did not show any leg, and that he added the leg to make the poster more appealing. Very counterproductive. I think they should have let the leg on the dress in the first place. I mean, unless the leg went up to her, but you could have just amended it to show a little less leg, but still remain leggy. The actual dress for the movie by Edith Head was probably shortly destroyed after the shooting. And then you're probably wondering too, so what happened to the other 2 copies that Audrey took with her? Well, one of them ended up in the Museo del Trege in Madrid, which is a museum, and the other was, as I mentioned earlier, auctioned off to Christie's in 2006 for nearly $1 million. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like for the LBD because it takes a lot of time and work to make these videos, and I appreciate your support, and it helps the algorithm pick up this video and show it to more people who also think that Chanel created the little black dress, which you know now is not the truth, so spread the news. If you love couture, style, and analysis, aka CSA, then please like and subscribe and turn on the bell to get your weekly notifications of a CSA PSA hot off the press weekly. You'll want to subscribe because we do things related to fashion, fashion history, and couture on this channel. I'm Mimi, I'm your host, and until next time, bye!